Hi, this is Lynn Suzek, and this is Faith Talk, talking today. Okay, so the Lord keeps sending me things that inspire me to talk. If I don't have something to talk about, I do not try to figure something out. I just wait until it hits me, and then I need to munch on what I'm getting, and I like to record it for my benefit and for yours. So I came across a YouTube video of Oral Roberts. I really never saw him speak before. I heard many things about him, but he's did a lot of healings. I think he might have been the first, what do they call those, tent meeting revival. He was one of the big ones. He has passed away, but I never really heard him speak. And it said, Oral Roberts speaks on how to use the faith you already have. So I'm like, well, let's see what he's got to say. And I was really into what he was saying for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then he said something that was way off. And I don't know why people get that. But I'm going to talk about both of these things, the really good stuff and then the bad stuff. So he's called it point of contact. And what he was talking about was all these different ways. It's very good. I hope I'm talking loud enough over some of the noise. So he says that first of all, we all have faith. We all have the faith of God if we're born again. So I already know that. And we have enough faith to move a mountain. But because we don't know how to release our faith, it sits dormant in us and not doing anything for most Christians. And I agree. So then, as I've learned, there is something to do that releases your faith just like electricity. However, what that is, so the action, he didn't call it an action because it's not always quite an action. But he listed several things. This is really interesting. He listed point of contact can be, scripturally, speaking the word as a sword, speaking anything scriptural. So laying on of hands is a point of contact. Using an oil that is scriptural, that could be a point of contact. And Moses raising his hands, that's a faith act, we call that. But it was releasing his faith. And I can think of things that people have told me that they've done and that's why they say there's no formula, because you don't always know what is going to release your faith. It's just partly your decision releasing your faith. And it seems like it's an action because actions are involved. But the point is, the belief, the faith, all by itself is not going to do anything. Isn't that interesting? Having the faith is not doing anything, just like a battery. Unless you turn on the switch, it's not going to work. So the action without battery in you isn't going to work either. So if you're not believing, it's not causing the action to release the faith. So our job is to understand how, just kind of like when you learn how to do gymnastics or ballet or play an instrument. It's like all awkward at first, and that's what we're doing with our faith. We're awkward. But if you understand that, and you have to keep practicing. I mean, we've had many successes, and we know this is what we do, or this is scriptural, but we're not all really fully understanding how faith works. And the people who get it don't really always understand how to explain it to where everybody else gets it, because it's spiritual. But the point of contact, he called it, he was describing, like I said, faith acts, and then releasing your faith has to do with not, so the two things, the faith, having it, and then the belief makes it flow through the action, and voila, we have the healing. And for our own healing, acting in faith causes your own healing, and I've had so many experiences with that. And how to provoke your own belief is probably where most of us watching this video are, and that's what we look for teachings on. So that was good. However, I turned it off, and I'm probably going to have to turn it back on and see if he said about more stuff after. But he started talking about, now if you have sin in your life, you know, and I like just click, because that is not true. I am not promoting sin, but I am not gonna have anything, I'm not gonna tell other people that you can't get healed if you have sin in your life, because that's nobody would be healed in the Bible because they all had sin in their lives. Nobody was really born again. We are cleansed by the blood of the Lamb. We're righteous in Christ. So sin is not a factor. Why bring that up and cause doubt in people's minds? Of course, all you're doing is you're not helping them. You're making their doubt come alive, and that is just the thing to stop the flow of healing. So again, that was Oral Roberts even, and you know, all the great ones, Smith Wigglesworth, he was big on faith in action. He found out that action released his faith, so he did some violent things. Threw a baby that got healed that way. Picked people up and had a woman picked up and dropped on the floor, and knew that was going to release faith. And it took a few times. It was that people were calling him names from the back. You beast, stop it! Because the violence and the distraction of getting your mind off of, he didn't explain himself. He just kept doing what was working. The violence seems to trigger. And now that I'm saying that, I have to say a friend of mine had a dream about me, and I'm still trying to figure it out, but it's kind of goes along with all this. She said we were right in here in my pool getting me in, and she's one of my caregivers. We use a lift and get me up in a lift and swim me in and lower me in, either to swim or to get on my floating chair. And swimming, I still require some flotation device. So the dream was that she was helping me with this, and it was a different kind of a lift, and it was she was having this remote, and she couldn't control it. It was like something was out of control, and it was banging me against this side and then flying and banging me against the other side, and I got up and walked. And it makes sense to me, but she just said, I'm just telling you what happened, I don't know. But she said, you weren't upset. You got up and were fine, and you weren't upset with me that was happening. But it just confirmed to me that I know some kind of violent action. And, you know, I pray every day that I can understand what it is, because I'm just not, you know, my faith has not risen up and told me to, you know, just throw myself out of the chair. I want to be able to move my legs before I get up. And But I'm sure something's going to happen. Plus, there was another dream she had that I got up in the middle of the night. So anything can happen. And if you have an example of that happening, some kind of action or a violent trigger to your healing, anything at all, just give us a comment in the section below. And I'm just going to, anybody new watching this, if you can subscribe, you'll get these almost on a daily basis lately. 10 minutes or 12 minutes of faith talk. Thanks for joining me, and get healed. You are healed. Get up.